Good afternoon, Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com here with your Hurricane and Hurricane HD video blog for Friday, July 27th, 2012. Things are nice and quiet across most of the Atlantic and the Eastern Pacific. We do see a little bit of an increase in the probability for tropical cyclone formation out here in the deep tropics. It's only a slight increase though. However, this is a sign of the change that's coming. Remember, it's a very slow process, very much like watching a pot of water waiting for it to boil. It seems like it takes forever. Eastern Pacific, there's an area of convection here that has a little bit of a chance of development. And then, of course, the Western Pacific always seems to be active with typhoons in that region, but nothing out there now of any consequence pretty much anywhere. Looking at the vertical instability, this is the atmosphere's ability to create deep convection and to lift the air, the unstableness, if you will, of the air mass. And it's been running below normal for the better part of the hurricane season. In fact, pretty much the whole season. Climatology is the black line, and you can see it's been running below climatological levels and still remains that way. This has a lot to do with the dry air that's been a very persistent factor out in the tropical Atlantic. That dry air puts a lid on vertical instability. It doesn't allow, put it this way, you don't have a very warm and juicy air mass sitting out there. It's kind of capped off, so your vertical instability is at a minimum right now. However, vertical wind shear, the difference in wind speed and direction as you go up in the atmosphere, that is running below the climatological normal right there, or the climatological average, I guess I should say. It's a more accurate way to describe it. Wind shear running below normal, so that is not a factor. We're not seeing strong upper level winds blowing across the deep tropics, which is a sign of El Nino if we did have that. And you can see that the wind shear has been running below normal for a good while, especially here lately. So we'll have to see if that continues into August and September. Here's that tropical wave that we were looking at yesterday. It's a little bit less organized today, harder to, I mean, you can still see the curvature to it, but it's not as well defined as it was yesterday, and a big reason is because of the Saharan dust that's up here and the dry air that this continues to ingest as it circulates across the Atlantic. You folks in the Windward Islands, Leeward Islands especially, and eventually Puerto Rico, the U.S. and British Virgin Islands in that vicinity, be watching for this as it moves into your region in about 4 days. It will bring an increase in showers and thunderstorms, gusty winds, and it may reach an area of a little bit more favorable conditions in this part of the world, and it might flare up some, so it might not look as sort of naked as it does here. I'm not saying it's going to develop into a tropical depression, but I would imagine that conditions over here are a little bit more ripe. So be on the lookout for that in about 3 to 4 days as it passes through. In the Eastern Pacific, this is the area that the tropical cyclone probability was picking up on. Fairly low chance though, not even registered or showing up on the Hurricane Center's tropical weather outlook. And look at all this. You can see the outline of that cold Pacific water indicated by all this gray here. Not much energy in the cold water, so you don't have much convection anywhere nearby. When will things change? Well, right now, the GFS showing the current MJO, Madden-Julian oscillation, basically we're looking at green means moist, rising air, lots of divergence aloft, and the orange and rust-colored here is converging air, sinking air, dry air, unfavorable conditions. Right now, the analysis shows very unfavorable across the Western Hemisphere. That holds on for a good deal of the region through the next 5 days. Maybe some convective activity over Africa. You can see all that green there. Africa staying in the green for the next 2 weeks. So the tropical waves are going to come off and move west, but will they move west into an unfavorable environment like we're seeing here for the next 2 weeks? We'll have to see. This is certainly subject to change, but I'm not seeing anything that indicates any development over the next 5 to possibly 10 days. So I guess that's good news, although we could use some of that tropical rainfall over these drought-stricken regions. The drought becoming more and more of a headline. sometimes tropical cyclones help to relieve drought, and maybe we could use one or two as long as they're not too severe and have their own sets of problems. You have to be careful what you wish for. Well, again, I'm Mark Sudduth, my website, hurricanetrack.com. Always a pleasure to provide these videos to you for Hurricane and Hurricane HD. And with that being said, I'll have another one for you tomorrow.